Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels, Lockdown, F1, Sim Racing, How Many More Categories Can I Fit In podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris. That was a really long beginning.
I know it was. And joining us tonight, our special guest is... about to introduce himself.
Oh, Matt Steele. Hello.
Hello, Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been a mainstay of the Discord channel since we set it up a few weeks ago, and just want to thank you from all of us for all the help on that, because none of us have a clue with what we're doing about it.
Oh, my pleasure.
And you've been kind of our resident sim racing coach as well since all this started.
I suppose so. I mean, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel there, but you know, glad to help.
Well, you shouted at me and got a second off my lap time. That worked. Oh, God.
You're having microphone difficulties again.
Serious microphone issues tonight. I just love technology. So, Matt, you've got a bit of a background in, well, real racing, sim racing, and racing in the movies, I guess you could say.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I've been sim racing since 2000 and, well, really since like the console games, Gran Turismo and all that, but started it properly in sim around 2007. Been doing that ever since. And yeah, a few years ago when I was working for Disney, was able to do some pretty cool crossover work with helping them consult on some of the driving sequences they were doing. Right.
What films did you work on in particular?
Oh gosh, well, a lot. Started off at DreamWorks in 2002. So first film there was Shark Tale. So do you want me to list them all, or you know, I can. But I worked on B-Movie,
favorites.
Okay, favorites. Oh, How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, Zootopia. I believe it was called Zootropolis in Europe. Let's see, what else? Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph 2, Frozen, Moana. Yeah, a lot of them.
All the big ones, then.
Yeah.
Easy. Amazing.
That's one hell.
That is an impressive list.
That's a hell of a CV.
Oh, there's a lot of work too. It takes an army to do these things. We have I think I figured out one time Kung Fu Panda took 4,000 labor years between all the people and all the years that it was worked on. Yeah, four millennium of if one person had been doing it.
Sounds like mixing one of these shows on a bad week.
So which one of those? So which one of those movies did you end up doing like a racing part in?
That was Wreck-It Ralph 2. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen that, but there's a big like Grand Theft Auto type game set in the film, and there's a really big race sequence where Vanellope is being chased by kind of the resident hot shoe, played by what's her name? Wonder Woman.
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot, yeah. And so yeah, they wanted it to be as realistic as they could get it. I mean, obviously it's in a video game, so it can take license, but they explicitly said, we want people who really know how to drive cars be able to look at this and go, yeah, they got that right. So we brought in all kinds of people to consult, like Josh Fry, who did all the stunt driving on the John Wick series, I have a little interesting story about that. It's kind of cool. Remind me when we get to the end of this. I actually brought in Ben Collins to give a talk. It was the Stig, of course.
And a multiple-time total shunt.
Yes. Yes. I tried. I pinged him to see if he'd come on the show, but he's hit and miss when it comes to replying.
Keep trying.
But,
keep trying.
Yeah, I will. So, and then what I did was my job was character TD, so character technical director, which also meant doing a couple different things. On the front end of a film, I would build rigs for characters and props, things like cars. So that's basically turning a static model into a puppet that can be animated and moved around and stuff. And then on the back end of the show, did cleanup and simulation work, so like sim clothing, hair. Cleanup animation after the animation performance, and also kind of effects animation work on things like cars and stuff like that. So I was kind of heavily involved in the mechanical side of what they were doing with the cars and kind of help protect their tires and get them to deform the way they would deform on the ground and all that. But then also served as a consultant for the actual driving of the vehicles. So I helped arrange I put together a racing school for the animation supervisors and brought them out to Willow Springs, and we had a big day, and I served as a consultant there. And then it was shot for reference for a couple things. There's actually a shot where Gal Gadot's character does a heel toe downshift and then does a flip around and jumps, through some debris and stuff. And one of the animators came to me and asked me about the heel toe stuff. And he's like, could you shoot some reference for me? I'm like, sure. So he actually had a sim rig set up at his desk, had like a G27 wheel with a little shifter and everything. And he filmed me on his phone doing a heel toe downshift and turn. And then he used that as the reference for that shot of her doing that. So I thought that was kind of a
nice,
neat little deal.
I'll never look at Gal Gadot's feet in the same way again.
Yeah. Ben played Gal Gadot in Fast and the Furious. He doubled for her. There's a picture on his Instagram of him as a double, and it's amazing.
Are they the same build?
Not exactly.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
The white racing suit and crash helmet would probably have given it away, though. I'm guessing they had to sort of remove that in post.
Yeah. I think they had to do a lot of work in post. The Josh Fry story, let me tell you that before we move on. It was actually pretty cool. So there was another racing sequence in Big Hero 6 where they're running away from the big baddie, and they do this jump over railroad tracks as a train is coming. And it's sort of a jump, and then it goes sideways in midair and then lands and it drifts sideways and then carries off. So if you'll note, if you guys see John Wick 2?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's pretty awesome. So at the beginning of John Wick 2, he's stealing his car back that was stolen from the first film. And in this big kind of showcase stunt, he jumps sideways out of a warehouse and then lands and drifts and goes forward. And so Josh Fry was...
I questioned that at the time. When I saw it, I thought, now, hang on a second. The way that car lands, I'm not entirely sure that wouldn't go over.
Yeah, no, that was real. That was 100% real. And he broke 2 of the 3 cars doing it, and was terrified because he only had 3 cars, and managed to get it done. But so that jump, he was going over that sequence with us in this big talk that he was doing for the studio, and he goes, "Yeah, that stunt was so cool. It was inspired because one of my kids was watching an animated movie, and I don't remember what it was, but somebody jumped over railroad tracks sideways and landed in a drift, and we're like, that's ours. We did that. That was Big Hero 6. So cool. That inspired art. Kind of cool.
That is fantastic. Right, now we can't talk sim racing without Indianapolis at the weekend.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
That was crashy.
You have picked the best week to come on.
Totally. Oh yeah, I've got words. I've got thoughts.
Please share them with as many people as possible. The internet has a lot of thoughts, and
yeah. The internet caught fire just after what happened at Indianapolis. I don't think I've seen so many opinions flying forwards and backwards, and yeah, it was crazy. So what was your take on it all, Matt? We'll start with wherever you want to start.
Like most opinions, mine are correct, right? So, just kidding. The big incident that everybody was screaming about is the Simon Pagino incident where Lando came to back of him and wrecked out, right? And there was some conspiracy theories and talk, and Simon Pagino said he was going to wreck Lando when he was leaving from the pits because earlier in the race, Lando was doing a 3-wide pass down the inside, which pushed, I forget who he was passing, but he went up high and Pagino was stuck up on the top by the wall. There was a touch. Pagino was knocked out of the race. Everybody was angry at the F1 driver who doesn't know how to drive ovals, which I thought that was funny. And he comes back out of the pits and closes up the field, lets Lando get near him with 4 laps to go with him in the lead. And then he lifts off turn 4, starts to brake to straight line, and Lando hits him and it wrecks. So, the story was, and Pagino admitted this, he wasn't planning on there causing a wreck, but he was, he wanted to slow Lando down so his IndyCar buddy would go and take the win. And I've got some problems with this because, yes, it's a game. Of course. but so is the Super Bowl. So is, the World Series and every football match. They're all games. Now, there's more stakes in some than other, but you have two people competing. It's a game, right? But with racing games, racing simulators, and real racing, they're both games, and they're both racing. So the people who do sim racing either do it for a living or do it as a really serious hobby, or pros that take it very seriously, like Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. They take it very, very seriously. It is as serious of racing as it is when they're in a real car driving. Now, there's no mortal stakes, but if you have pros that come in and treat it flippantly and do crap like that, it really. It's not cool. It would be like an NBA player coming off the court and playing street ball and then just ruining the game and calling it not real basketball. You know what I mean? And the fact is, if Pagano had done something like that in a real race, even if there hadn't have been an accident, it had just been a purposeful interference to slow somebody down, that's going to be hit with sporting regs. There's going to be time penalties. There's going to be stop and go. There's going to be something to penalize for it. If it causes an accident, that's points on a license. So obviously that's not a factor here because these aren't real cars. But when sim racers are in there doing it, they're taking it as seriously as they're taking it in real life. I race in real life. I race in sim racing. They're both, the stakes are equal to me. I don't get paid to race in either. I spend a whole lot less money racing in iRacing than I do in real life. But if I win both, they're both the same. And we all race together, and we all take it very seriously. So with the light being shed on sim racing, I want to see more. I don't like seeing people just taking it jokingly. Like some of the F1 races have some of the participants they just flippantly goof off with it, and it's not cool because there is a lot of people out there that really enjoy it and take it seriously as a form of competition.
Yeah. I do actually enjoy the Formula One. I think, like you say, I don't think it's taken seriously enough. As for the IndyCar incident, I think the thing that upset me most about it was the timing for it. There's a reason why all these professional drivers are doing the sim racing instead of doing the real racing, and people watch sport because they want an escape from the real world. And if there's ever a case where people need an escape from the real world, it's right now. So it's the lack of respect for the fans watching. That's what really upset me about what he did.
Yeah, 100%. And then he admitted it. He's like, I was trying to slow you down. That's, yeah. I still like Simon Pagano, but I think that was just a case of somebody coming in from real life and not taking it as seriously as other people are, and
Yeah, that's exactly what it was as far as I could tell. But do you think this reflects badly or poorly on IndyCar more than Simon Pagano or anyone else who may have been involved in any other incident during the race? Because there were a few. But the fact that so many non-IndyCar fans may have been watching the esports race, the iRacing, whatever you want to call it, the sim race, purely because Lando Norris was there. There's a lot of F1 eyes, especially young F1 eyes, on that particular race, and it appears that that's now it was like IndyCar versus F1. And they deliberately took the F1 driver out. So for me, I think IndyCar has possibly lost a lot of young eyes, especially over this side of the Atlantic, watching what might happen in IndyCar, because the racing in IndyCar is usually pretty good, but that sours it hugely. And I think for a lot of people, they're just like, well, stuff IndyCar if that's what happens when they're losing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Also, some of it is not really up to their control. iRacing, as a sim racing platform, it's not the perfect platform. It's good. I mean, especially for matched racing, where you're not racing with a known group of people, and you need to be ranked with people that are at your same skill level and crashiness level. But it does have some drawbacks. One of the things you'll hear from a lot of experienced drivers is that you can't feel the rear end of the car as well in that title. So it leads to more spins and more incidences than most. And that leads to sketchier racing. So, I mean, some of it, the Pagano thing was a legit, that was just a stupid move. But some of the other incidences are just That's just what you get when you're in sim, because you can't feel the rear end of the car. You don't have as much situational awareness, and you add to that net code, which is the kind of the slang for latency contact, where I've got my car driving down the road, and my computer is aware of where the other person is relative to me, and then they've got their car driving down the road. They know where I'm at, but the two, because there's latency and how long it takes a ping to get back and forth, there might be contact perceived by one and not the other, or contact where there wasn't contact, things like that. So you have to leave a lot more room than you have to leave in real life too. So that all that stuff makes it a drawback for televised competitive sim racing. But it's better than it's ever been before, and it keeps getting better. So,
I mean, look, just looking at the whole IndyCar presentation, and we've said this on the last couple of shows, that the broadcasters are treating it in the same way that they treat a normal race.
Yes, that's great to see.
Virtual grid walks. You get the national anthem. You get the foam discussions between the commentator and the analyst before the flag drops, and it is, to all intents and purposes, a race. It's just not being held on a real circuit, and
right.
They've really won on that, which is something that I keep saying they've definitely got over F1.
Yeah. Oh yeah, F1 is very hypey, and I mean the racing is fun because you got some people in there that really know what they're doing and are taking it very seriously.
And then you get Johnny Herbert.
Yeah, then you've got the people that don't know what they're doing. Yeah, but you don't ever see in a professional sporting. You don't see the club guy that's just signed up for his first public league hockey out on the on the ice with NHL stars, and it's an NHL game. It's kind of funny to watch Johnny Herbert.
Yeah, he is usually pretty laughable. Oh, sorry, comedic. Same thing. Yeah, Matt, one of the other things that you're involved with, and I know Chris is looking forward to talking about this, is Robo Race.
Yeah, and I'm not going to talk about it at all. I'm just kidding.
Come on, Chris, you can coax it out of him.
So go, yeah. Well, what do you want to know?
Chris, all yours.
Yeah, no, go on, Paul. You go first, because I've got. I'll have.
Why
other
does
questions.
it exist? Is that the first question? Or are we trying to put real drivers out of business?
What I was going to say was for the benefit of listeners that haven't heard about this before, do you want to give a little bit of a primer as to what it's all about? Sure.
So Robo Race is a racing series for autonomous vehicles, full-size race car autonomous vehicles, and the main Robo car is a bespoke, custom designed racing vehicle, all-wheel drive. And then there's also a DevBot, which is based on an Ganetta LMP2 chassis, which is pretty slick. So the idea is that RoboRace provides the vehicle and provides baseline, and teams, universities, OEMs, hobbyists provide autonomous software to drive these cars around and compete with one another in a racing environment. So that's what RoboRace is. So the reason for it is I get a lot of guys, when I first started working there, I got a lot of chaff from guys at the track. You're trying to take away our hobby, and nobody wants to watch robots racing around each other. And it's well, yeah, that's true. It's not intended to replace racing. It's not intended to be like, right, well, we're no longer going to have drivers in a car. It's actually, the argument's about safety. So, and safety for everything, not just racing, for road cars, because we're entering a world where autonomous vehicles are going to be abundant. They're going to be all over the place. And right now, for the most part, autonomous vehicles are trained to do what road cars do, which is drive around the road, obeying the speed limits and stopping at stop signs and doing all that stuff. And anybody that has ever driven a race car knows that the rules for how you control a car when it's over the limit of the design spec of the car is completely different than the rules for how you control a car when you're going on surface streets. So take an example. We're going around a mountain road up here. We have mountain roads all over the place, and there is a rock that's in the middle of the road, kind of in the center line, and you're taking a right-hand turn. Well, you might go, to avoid it, you turn right a little bit more, and you skirt around it, and you're fine, because under the limits of the car, you turn right, the car is going to go right. But if you were at the limit of the vehicle. Let's say there's rain or water across the road, and so you're right at that limit of grip. If you turn right, the car doesn't go right, the car goes straight, because what you've done is you've increased the slip angle of the tire beyond the optimum slip, and you give away the front traction. The car goes into an understeer situation, and you push forward, and you might hit a car that's oncoming. So what RoboRace is designed to do is to allow people to train autonomous technologies to run at those limits all the time, so that when you do, when an autonomous car is driving around and there's a kid playing in the street and there's water on the road, it can avoid and do what it needs to do in a way that's not going to put anybody in danger. So that's the basic principle why it's being done.
Have there been any instances with it where you found actually that would have been better with a human driver?
In RoboRace?
Yeah, have there been any sort of instances where you thought actually that would play out in theory slightly differently if it wasn't autonomous?
Well, sure. I mean, it's also been in its infancy. There have been some showcase races, and we haven't had fast pack racing yet. But with a human driver, ADS it behaves differently. The autonomous technology, it's going to drive differently than a human driver right now. We can do hill climbs, we can do time trial runs, we can do some car to car running, and a human is going to make a lot more fine-tuned decisions, because it'll be able to get feedback from the tires and what's going on, and that's right now it's too early to say that you can even really compare the two. I would say once the training gets to where these cars can really sense what's going on with the grip and can adjust in that way, then you'll probably start seeing more variances, and potentially it could be that a human driver wouldn't be able to do as good of a job, but they might be able to do a better job. They were planning an event with Lucas Degrassi, doing a time trial challenge with him behind the wheel, and then the autonomous technology behind the wheel, and so that was I think that was supposed to be coming up soon, but then this COVID thing kind of shut everything down. So
it'll be interesting to see if they do manage to reschedule it. Right. Chris, do you want to start with your, what was it you said earlier? Hundreds of questions?
Hundreds of questions.
Not quite hundreds. Not quite.
Dozens.
Not quite hundreds. That's exactly what you've already touched on there. Is kind of one of the things I was going to say anyway, was going to be the road relevance sort of thing of it. Obviously, all motorsport wants to have some kind of road relevance, but it seems like RoboRace is well ahead of that in terms of the autonomous car. But as you've already kind of touched on that, I've seen a couple of RoboRaces when I think it was last year. They were you involved in the 2-car race? I don't know where it was. There's a 2-car race. I think it was the first ever robotic race between. Completely autonomous race between two vehicles. I think they were university teams. I don't know if you were involved in that, but the my main question is, how many vehicles do you think you can get on a circuit? Could you have a full field of like 24 cars? Is that viable?
I mean, there's nothing theoretically stopping that. They can communicate with one another, and they can communicate with race control via a bunch of different technologies. So there's nothing. I don't think there's any fundamental limit to the number of cars you could have on track. I mean, technically, you could probably have more cars on track than you would want to safely do with humans behind the wheel, because they could coordinate with each other and drive probably more safely. But that's a lot of cars.
Yeah,
that's a lot of cars to build.
Yeah, it is,
and a lot of crash damage to repair if something goes wrong.
Did you have anything to do with that one? I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but it was I think it was 2 university teams that had a robot autonomous vehicles. I think it was the first ever race between 2 autonomous vehicles. But obviously, RoboRace is looking to be like the support a support series, isn't it? So. We're going to be seeing
the vehicles and other teams come in to do the actual competition, code writing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, because the engineers aren't engineers as such, are they? They, as you say, they code it so that the autonomous vehicle can find its own limits, which to me is completely weird, because obviously a driver goes out and finds limits in a car. Oh, okay, well I can feel that movement. You're kind of teaching a robot to feel where the levels of grip start going, and that to me is completely mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well, everything we do when we're in a car, what we feel by the seat of our pants. I mean, essentially, we've got biological accelerometers, and we can tell when something's slipping and sliding and rotating, and we can feel the weight load up, and it's just physics, and so there's nothing to prevent some other system in the car from being able to determine. I mean, the cars we drive have accelerometers in them. We can determine. You look at Motec data, and you can get G load for lateral, longitudinal, vertical, and from that you can look at that based on the compression of the shocks and things like that, and that's how you tune the car. So it's actually not that much of a step. The only difference is it's way more consistent because they don't have any bias.
It's like grown-up RC racing, almost.
Right, exactly. Except it's not RC at all. It goes out on its own and it does its thing on its own. It's
completely autonomous. Yeah, and that's what really baffles me: the fact that it is completely autonomous.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, you hear my dog?
And that's the dog that you warned us about.
Let me go open the door for her just a moment.
Service dog.
Is this our first pod dog?
I think, yeah.
We've had plenty of pod cats.
Yeah, we've never had a pod dog before.
Always breaking new ground.
And we're back.
Yeah, well, just so while you're away, Matt, this is our first pod dog because we're normally a pod cat based show.
I have 2 dogs and they're both amazing.
I'm just waiting for a cat to jump on the mixing desk again.
No, they're quiet. Leave them be.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't want my dog to jump on a mixing desk. Would be bad.
So, Chris, have you got any more questions?
No, I don't think so. As I said, my main thing was going to be about the road relevance, but Matt already touched on that when he was doing his kind of introduction thing, which it's nice to see that there's a form of motorsport that is preempting what the road relevance is going to be, rather than sort of reacting to what's already out there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with autonomous road vehicles starting to creep in, there's trials in various places, and I'm sure Uber want to bring them in as soon as possible so that they can take even more money away from drivers. It's probably going to be a fairly common sight, I'd say, within about 20 years.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do, though. It's not there yet. I don't like how autonomous, quote unquote, modes and vehicles will turn the autonomous mode off when it senses it's about to get into trouble. That kind of defeats the whole purpose. I think that I actually drive a Tesla because my commute is so long that I wanted to get something electric and comfortable, and it's really good in stop and go traffic. But if it senses trouble, it will just return control to me immediately without any warning. And I have to wonder when I hear the stats of all these autonomous miles with no accidents. Like I wonder how many accidents have occurred right after it decided to turn itself off.
No, that's
like
true.
I've never hurt myself not falling downstairs. Is sort of
yeah, that's true.
Is that the kind of
I was going to say it's true artificial intelligence because it knows when to shut up and let somebody else take the blame.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's probably going the other way, isn't it? Is it going the other way where they realise they're in danger, therefore if they just turn off, they can't be hurt?
Yeah, as they go to sleep. It's like closing your eyes, get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to program every single car with Asimov's 3 rules of robotics. It's only a matter of time before we are enslaved. Skynet is a hang on, I've turned into Lee.
Hey, if we're going to compete with the Isle of Wight, we need our own David Icke, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I just decided to preemptively work for them so that
That's one thing I want to know about this Isle of Wight mobile phone tracking app. Why are they testing it on a place where one of the world's biggest conspiracy theorists lives?
That's the conspiracy.
There's a Netflix documentary being shot. You just can't tell.
When I put my microphone back together, because it's just fallen over again, I guess we better talk some Formula 1 because there has actually been some F1 news today for the second Monday on the trot.
It's shocking, this, isn't it? Monday news.
Yeah, I'm not used to this. I'm all lined up ready to do jump cuts on a Tuesday, and there aren't any at the minute. It looks like the budget cap's been passed.
No, it's been lowered.
Well, yeah, the new lower budget cap has been passed as well. So it's down to $145 million now.
Yes, that is what Ross Brawn has said in interview with Sky Sports F1, I believe.
And Ferrari didn't complain and threaten to quit again.
Well, they did.
If you are furloughed, you cannot complain. If you're not in the office to complain, you can't complain.
I think a complaint's just like an auto-reply email for them.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Ferraris out of office. That's good enough.
I like the idea that it was just an email that comes through saying, "I'm sorry, there's no one here to answer your emails at the moment. We deny your request."
And we may consider quitting Formula One. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah, so basically what the budget cap is now covering is all team expenses apart from salaries and some other things. But they're being a bit vague on what the and other things are.
It's basically they're like open for exploitation by whoever can afford the best accountant.
So Ferrari then.
That's a weird budget. It's like budgeting for a kitchen remodel and be like, you have $10,000, but it's only for tile.
Yeah, the oven is extra.
Sorry,
you can spend whatever you want on the rest of the kitchen, but just you must only spend $10,000 on tiles.
Right.
It's a lot of tiles.
The thing is, I don't know of any other sport where you know, and a lot of people, $30 million is obviously a huge amount of money. But when it comes to a sport like Formula One, you chop $30 million out of the budget. That's quite a chunk. That's $30 million that's probably going to be usually pretty well spent.
It's like a seat insert.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that mean Grosjean will not be able to crash anymore? Because that's got to be his damage budget, pretty much.
Why do you think they simplified the front wings?
Now, I have to say, the spending that they do in Formula One is like government spending. There's a sim builder out here in LA that makes these really amazing, like $80,000, $100,000 sims, and they were converting Nico Rosberg's Williams to a sim rig. And so they had all the bits there. They had the steering wheel, which is the steering wheel that's, I guess, worth more than my house, and the circuit board and the steering wheel itself. There is no way. I mean, it's like $15 worth of components. It's not a $250,000 wheel. It just somebody spent 6 years of labor time to put it together. But the actual construction, these things are they're not any more complicated than something you'll see on an actual sim rig somewhere.
But I think the main thing is a lot of the teams write off the costs of R&D and production and claim that they're going into other areas. So
they write those off through their technology arm. So Williams have a technology firm that they could say, oh, it was applied technology, and it just happens to have an F1 angle.
Yeah, you make components for fridge shelves. Why do you need a £250,000 steering wheel in a fridge?
It's important to be able to steer your fridge.
Never know.
But it looks so that budget cap. It's going to be brought in at the start of next season.
Correct.
I thought that's what I read. I read it, sort of looked at it very quickly earlier on today, and that still means that for the rest of 2020, even though they're not allowed to work on the 2022 cars, which were the 2021 cars, it's still unlimited spending. So how much money are they going to be spending for things that can be carried over? Because the cars aren't going to be an entire redesign. Not everything from the ground up, every single component, surely. So there's still going to be teams getting away with it. And it just strikes me that the budget cap as a whole is there to be completely exploited. And we'll see it dicked about by... I'm not saying just Ferrari, but other teams as well.
Well, aren't they bringing the 2021 rules into 2022? So that would mean that there would be complete rebuilds, complete completely new cars, completely new designs.
The engine is pretty much the same, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of areas where teams will look at what's going on. We'll just call it the next generation, because we've joked about 2021 happening 5 years down the line enough before it actually was.
It's what we call Formula E as well, wasn't it? When they did Gen 2,
Yeah,
next generation. So.
but I think teams are going to be looking now and putting money into what's going to be on this next generation of cars, whilst making it look like they're going to be bolting them onto the cars that they're going to be using this season and next.
There'll be ways around it, but I suppose the thing is, if there's a budget cap in place, and which seems to be, it's quite a hard budget cap from what teams were spending. If it just drags the spending back even slightly, it's doing its job, isn't it? They obviously know people are going to exploit it, but it's got to be better. Like a team trying to exploit loopholes for a £140 million budget cap than running into Formula One and spending $300 million a year.
And that's just on the coffee machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's a good thing, and it will let the smaller teams, which I think now really are only Williams and
Haas.
Haas is a different case, but yeah, Williams, Haas, and maybe to an extent McLaren before they got the last glut of money in from Latifi.
Yeah.
And Racing Point.
Racing
Even
Point
though they're
as well.
now Aston Martin and have many millions behind them.
I was going to say they've got a practically limitless pot that Lawrence Stroll will throw in.
I think what you're separating there, rather than saying the smaller teams, you're separating the independent teams, aren't you? The independent teams from the manufacturers, and I'm including Red Bull there as a manufacturer just because of the might of the Red Bull industry machine behind them.
Well, they are the kind of de facto Honda factory team, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got the budget of a major car manufacturer to spend on their own anyway. But on the subject of Red Bull, something Christian Horner said over the weekend
I'm sure that was riveting.
It was actually. It was actually.
Was it something that will end up benefiting Christian Horner?
I'm going to go with yes. I don't know where this is going, but I think so.
Well, funnily enough, customer cars. Talking about bringing those back.
Interesting.
Allowing independent privateer teams to buy
a Red Bull, for instance.
He was only saying last year's car, and then had an example of when Toro Rosso started, they bought last year's Red Bull.
So is that something they would be able to spend research and money on and not officially call it part of their team? It would be a third, a side project that they could put money into.
It would be servicing the customer cars and helping their customers develop their car up to spending 145 million.
Mm-hmm. I'm calling a creative accountancy bullshit on that one.
No, I know what it is. If they're selling a car to another team, surely that counts as profit, so that offsets some of the budget.
Could be that.
Possibly. I think it might be good to see what that can do to the grid, because I mean you look at up to the 90s, and there was teams that went down the full customer car route and they just bought everything in kit form and put it together themselves.
I mean, it's what
Not
Haas
being
do,
funny,
essentially.
is this not getting towards Lee's idea of fucking sacrifice the small teams to Baphomet and allow the big teams to run 3 cars? Isn't that kind of essentially what you're doing?
Yes, but with a slight difference, because the teams themselves won't be doing it. Say, we start 3 legs, 4 wheels racing.
I tell you what, we won't
I'm
be
down.
doing. Yeah, we need a driver. I tell you what, what we won't be doing is, if we've bought a Red Bull customer car, is being allowed to race Max Verstappen very much.
Very true.
But yeah, we start 3 legs, 4 wheels racing, and we buy a Red Bull. Well, we'd have to buy 2 Red Bulls because you need to enter 2 cars. We would have to basically run those cars, provide the provide the pit crew, provide the mechanics, provide the engineers, glue it back together when we hired Grosjean and he stuck it into a wall.
We're not hiring Grosjean.
No, I'm on the board of directors. We're not hiring Grosjean.
Two
Yeah,
have
but
spoken.
if you do that, I mean, if you do that, you're going to return back to the days of the two tire manufacturers, where you have like an A class and a B class field. You're going to have the major car manufacturers, and then the customer car teams are all going to be up there at the front, and then everybody else is going to be stacked back 3 seconds a lap.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's why we get rid of Williams, Haas, and Alfa Romeo, and give every other car 3 cars.
Well, I think Haas is not long for this one, personally.
Oh,
I can't see Gene Haas just pouring money into it if they're not doing anything.
He sounded very much like he'd checked out, didn't he, during,
Drive to Survive.
That's the one.
Yeah, it sounded like this was their last chance year, and with all this, with the I'm sure he's taking a hit because he does commercial manufacturing, and so he's got to be seriously considering not returning for the next year. And it's not like the team is this dominant team that somebody's waiting in the wings to scoop up and purchase.
I wonder if the COVID situation might help Haas, because it's gone on this long. We're not going to get much of a season now towards the end of the year. Next year's cars are going to be pretty much the same with a few safety tweaks. It might just be worthwhile keeping Haas in the sport for an extra year, just because it's not going to cost the same amount of money as getting a whole new car built for them.
That's true, and by now Grosjean would have crashed like 6 chassis, so that's got to save a penny.
I was going to say that their front wing budget is monumentally lower than it has been for the last few years.
Yeah, he's been through 18 road cars, unfortunately.
Yeah, but if they
But all
start
you have to do is
doing,
reset.
but if they start doing back to back, like 2 races a weekend or something like that, how many wings are they going to have to take to each track?
Well, they're going to have to build like a factory at the track to manufacture wings for Grosjean.
The amount of wings they're going to need, you're going to have to work it out in airports. They'll have to take 7 airports with them.
And somehow, some way, it'll all be Marcus Ericsson's fault.
Yes.
I think that is about the extent of the news that we've got at the minute, really, isn't it? I can't.
Yeah, Eddie
much.
Jordan's gone a bit mental. Did anyone see that?
What, only just?
Gone
This
a
is
bit
news.
mental.
Yeah, Eddie Jordan's completely lost the plot. He says that Honda, Mercedes, and Renault are going to pull out of Formula One within the next 2 years.
Yeah, but the
does
weird
that leave
thing
you
is
with?
he has a habit of being right about these things.
Does, yeah.
But who
He's
does that leave
nuts,
you
but
with?
he's usually quite accurate.
Don't forget, my guess for the future of Formula One was that your big manufacturer will go to Formula E because it's really cheap and they get the same sort of exposure, and Formula One would turn into the independent, so almost like garagista teams again.
It looks like it's going to be Formula Ferrari if Eddie Jordan's correct, but what he's basically said is that he believes that Lawrence Stroll has so much money that he'll just buy the Brackley team when Mercedes decide they've had enough and do whatever he wants with the Racing Point team, maybe like a B team, much like Red Bull, and he thinks that Stroll is way too invested now in the sport because he's bought basically a team and renamed it after buying a car company with the same name, and
That worked really well for Tony Fernandez.
Yeah. Well, he's so, exactly. Yeah, he's so deep into it that he's got to go full on. Is Eddie Jordan's sort of way of thinking? But he reckons Mercedes, Honda, and Renault are going to pull out. If I'm wrong, that leaves you with Ferrari being the only engine supplier.
Well, I guess by that point, Stroll could
Stroll buys Ferrari.
I was going to say Stroll could get Aston Martin to make an engine.
Because he's got Mercedes making them for him at the moment.
Yeah, I mean he owns the race team and the car brand.
I was going to say in the race cars as well as the road cars.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm sure they could pop out an engine or two if they so needed.
Stunned silence.
Porsche have just pulled out of DTM as well, haven't they?
I thought it was Audi.
Was it Audi? I've lost track.
Oh, somebody has.
Someone has.
I
So they've
think-
got
I think
capacity. They
I
could
think
do something.
Porsche and Audi haven't they? Porsche pulled out like a couple of weeks ago or last week, and Audi pulled out today or yesterday. One of them pulled out today or yesterday.
That sounds about right, because it's pretty much just BMW now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a German brand could come in. It sounds like there's a few going spare.
Yeah, Audi apparently pulled out 3 hours ago.
Oh.
Monday news, people. Monday news.
It catches us by surprise.
Yeah, not used to this. I'm used to looking things up on Tuesday and then sticking a jump cut in.
Ha. Yeah. This because it's famous, isn't it, for having Tuesday news.
Yeah.
Formula One, motorsport in general.
Yeah.
Nobody works on a Monday in this motorsport world.
But now everybody's working from home. Nobody's got an excuse not to work on a Monday. So yeah, I think that about covers everything that's come through this week. So I guess that means it is time. I'm just going to do a quick shout out here for Galactic Hitchhiker to update his spreadsheet, because it's probably total shunt time.
Ah.
Oh, a quick shout out as well. Who was it that made the 3 legs 4 wheels decals for the iRacing car that I'm using?
Oh yeah, that was Leo Perez. Thank you for that, Leo. I'm using that one as well. I just haven't raced an MX-5 since you sent it through, but I might actually do that this week.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
the
racing-
colour scheme you went with, Lee.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Well, I'm racing that until I get better. I'm also dipping my toe in the Dallara, and I've bought the. Is it a BMW M8? Is that? Am I
Yeah, the
thinking
M8's
right?
okay. They kind of nerfed it. The RSR is really sort of the faster one, although the 488 is the easier one to drive.
Oh, damn it!
This
so
conversation
Dallara,
needed to
you're talking
happen
about the
before
F.
you made purchases.
Yeah, probably. But it
the
looks
F3?
so pretty.
All I'm saying is I am happy with my Skip Barber F2000.
Yeah, those are
But
fun.
what-
Are you doing the F3?
Not yet. I'm just staying on the Skippies for the time being. But if anybody fancies designing me a livery for the Skip Barber, based around Iron Maiden, I would be more than happy with that, because my attempts so far have been nothing short of terrible.
Done.
And I am
got you.
requesting, and I am requesting a livery for the Dallara and the BMW, please.
Okay, so you're saying Dallara? Are you talking about the F3 or the IndyCar or?
Oh, the IndyCar,
Okay, the IndyCar IR18.
whichever one they use for Dallara Dash is what I'm using.
Okay. Okay.
Are you just
I think that's
requesting-
the-
Are you just
Did you say
requesting
you-
a livery, no specific theme?
I know. I'd like it personalised for my good self.
That's still quite a liberal brief, I
Tall
feel.
order.
I would have gone.
Yeah, no, that's.
I would have gone
I'm
for
gonna give some.
Brave.
No, I'm going to give some creative freedom. Also, I would think if the Isle of Man had racing colours, it would be red, white, and gold. I'd think,
It would
and
be,
maybe
yes.
maybe a 3 legs of man on it wouldn't go amiss.
Like the old red, white, and gold Lotuses then.
That was a beautiful livery.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. That with some.
It was the first sponsorship, wasn't it, I think, in Formula One?
Yes,
Gold
it was.
Leaf.
Gold Leaf Tobacco was Graham Hill's car.
Yeah.
That was also the car where they stuck on the weird looking wings. It was the first time they started using front wings, and they just sort of like
Yeah.
just glued them to the side of the, of the intake pod.
Yeah. And also was that they did they used to do IndyCar back then as well, the Indy 500 as part of the Grand Prix circuit back then.
It was part of the World Championship, but you only got about 3
Yeah.
F1 drivers in it.
So when are we
All
doing
right.
an iRacing 3 legs 4 wheels race night?
I'm ready. I'm ready now. Let's go.
Right now. I can't do it tonight, but
You've got some questions to ask, Lou. Don't do it just yet.
As soon as I get my rig set up.
So we'll end for this weekend, and Chris, you'll be joining us in about November.
If you're lucky.
How about another one this weekend?
I think so. Yeah, I don't have anything Sunday. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Sunday we'll pick a time. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll put it on Twitter, and we'll announce it on on Discord as well, because we've got the iRacing chat room on there.
Sounds good.
So,
this week's the Indy 250. I'll be racing I run with a league that is made up of basically the entire Southwest region karting community, which is is basically the biggest, fastest karting community in North America. And we run a series every week, but we're doing an Indy 250 event on Thursday night, which should be good fun.
Christian Gardner says, Skip Barbers tomorrow, anytime, literally.
Nice.
I'll ping you a message later, Christian. We'll see if we can organise a race session tomorrow outside of this one. But we'll try 3 legs, 4 wheels track day at the weekend. Right, as I was saying, Galactic Hitchhiker on our Discord is actually making a spreadsheet of every Who's a Total Shunt that we've done since we started it on, I think, show 89.
Good lord!
But,
so it's been going for what number show is this? 240 something?
248.
Wow.
So there's been a lot of total shunts. Well, there's been quite a few total shunts and a lot of Ben Collins and Lightning McQueen.
And what was the one we all swore at the time? Was it Mario or something like that?
Yes, it was Mario. In fact, that was. Let me just bring his post up from earlier, because it was there on the. Where's the list? He's only sent a partial list in so far, but we did Mario.
I don't know if you were listening back there, Matt, but we got really angry at whoever sent in Mario as a total shunt.
It was episode 94, and now all episodes are available on Spotify because I did some tweaking, so you can go back and listen to how bad we were 5 years ago.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I like it when it's like the third crank bolt on like a DFV motor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had ones
the
like that.
non-human shunts.
Yeah, I'm really hoping tonight's isn't. So, Lee, whose is this week's buy?
Sorry, just listen. I'm still looking for it. Pad.
We assumed that was padding, was it not?
I'm going to pad
padding for the last fucking hour.
No, I've changed my mind on the one I want to use.
I've got this. You're talking about crank bolts on DFE engines, Matt. You're rebuilding a race car slowly.
Not anymore. That's been shed from my life.
I have it.
I had too much time. Yeah,
So
that
was
was
it an old Formula Ford?
Yes, it was actually 3 old Formula Fords from a Lexus. So Russell Alexis was the very first Formula Ford in 1968, I believe, and then it got moved over to Alexis in 1969, or was it 60? I forget. I'm not a total shunt guy. I'm terrible at these. But Formula Ford built from we nearly finished a full car, sold the other 2, and just sold the last one about 2 months ago.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Do they still get raced, or are they just showroom pieces now, museum pieces?
Oh, they get raced. Yeah, there's Vara here in North America, so they run them all. Actually, 2 of them went to a racer up in the Bay Area who will be building it up and doing that. And then the other one is actually going back to its original owner in Michigan, who's going to turn it into a Formula B car, which was what a lot of the Formula Fords became, with slightly wider suspension and a bigger motor with a dual overhead cam and a little quicker. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, let us know. Let us know how that pans out.
Yep.
That's cool. Right, Lee, are you there now?
I'm here.
Right.
Sorry, I just tried. This one is from Turan Cameron.
Why is it always a name we know you've said wrong?
Is it Taran?
Yeah, maybe.
We're renaming this from Who's a Total Shunt into Lee's Name Liquidizer.
It's part of it.
I'm one of those people. I do struggle reading out loud. I always have done. It's some people are storytellers where they'll pick up a book, children gather round them, and they will regale them with a tale. I'm not that person.
Johann Smiter. John Smith.
I've always had trouble with names. Yeah, I think it's a dyslexia thing. Reading names and spelling numbers are cunts. It's just
So here's a hint: if you want Lee to get really confused when you're sending your total shunt in, spell your name with a capital 4.
I was born
Yay!
in Greece.
Oh,
Oh, we normally get a year.
There
I
are
was born in Greece.
There are conflicting reports on my year of birth, such as there is no recorded date.
So it
we're
could be
likely
it could be
not
Prince
looking
Philip.
at a person.
I think Prince Philip has an official date of birth. I think it's just how many deaths he's up to that there's a bit of confusion over.
What? What caused?
No, he's had at least 4 this year.
If Tuesday news is Prince Philip's dead, Paul's got some editing to do.
Yeah, can we
After the Boris Johnson incident the other week.
which never made the show, thankfully.
He's fine. He's back at work now. It's all right.
It's all good. It's all good. So Greek of uncertain age.
I made my
What do you reckon?
Formula One debut in 1997, and right, this is hard. So I'm gonna say that just to give it like a slight helping. What you were talking about 5 minutes ago is the reason you're getting this total shunt. Something that was said.
The second crank bolt on a DFV.
Paul, you have no idea how close you are to
I
the
feel
truth.
like we are looking at a brand
Mario.
or a thing rather than a being.
I was going to ask, does Matt know anything? I can't think of anything of Greek origin that would have been in Formula One, especially in the late 90s.
Yogurt.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like with the no birth date, it's like an event or something, but that would still have a date. I don't know. I'll wait till the spaffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got-
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I mean, something started in Greece without a definitive date is
The Olympics.
the Olympics, which doesn't involve motorsport.
Democracy.
There isn't any of that in Formula
I
One.
was going to say, is that when they
Just
started?
gonna say that.
Is that when Ferrari got their veto and they called it democracy?
Well,
Is the
what made its
scientific
debut?
method?
What made its debut in Formula One in 1997? Was that when Bridgestone came into Formula One? Bridgestone, a number of things. There was a slight rule change, wasn't there, coming in 97? So we could be looking at some sort of like very ancient piece of technology that Formula One's got. We should definitely use this.
Run with the word ancient.
Jackie Stewart. Stewart Racing made the debut in '97.
Was he born in Greece? I have a
To
sneaky
the
suspicion
best
he's
of my
Scottish.
knowledge, no.
I'm going to hurry you for a guess.
That's an ancient Greek tartan that he usually wears.
Right, what are we doing here?
We're passing.
Olive oil?
Rubber?
What else is Greek?
Yeah,
Rubber is Scottish, isn't it? I think.
Rubber?
It's as Greek as Jackie Stewart.
Yeah, I have no idea.
MasterCard. That'll do.
Yeah, MasterCard.
What?
The MasterCard
Well, no,
Lola
to be
team was the
fair-
other team that started in 1997.
Right. Okay.
It was.
Right.
It was.
Clue number
the
4.
MasterCard Lola.
I think that's for the best. I think clue number 4 is for the best.
Prior to my debut, I had no previous motorsport affiliation or appearances.
Okay.
My friend
Ricardo
at
Rossi.
age... What?
Ricardo Rossi. He drove a MasterCard Lola once.
My friend and aide Gabriel also appeared alongside me.
It's gone quiet.
It's gone bizarre.
Now wait, hang on a second. Gabriel is the Archangel Gabriel. Are we thinking of some driver who was Greek Orthodox?
There was never a Greek Orthodox driver before 1997.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not entirely sure there's
I don't
been one
think
since.
I'm not hugely up
That's-
on
that's
drivers'
pretty weird.
religions.
But then again, this is total shunt. So
Next
I
clue.
have nothing to offer.
I debuted on British TV one day before my Formula One debut at the British Grand Prix. Don't all come at me with your guesses at once.
Don't worry, we won't.
this is weird.
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Yuri Geller used to do his predictions on ITV in 1997 when they took over.
Oh,
Is
Yuri
he
Geller
Greek?
Is Yuri Geller born in Greece? Or I thought he was Israeli.
I was going to say, I thought it was Israel.
Generically Eastern European.
But at the
But
moment,
then but his TV debut wasn't the day before the British Grand Prix because he was on TV in the 80s.
I'm old enough to remember he was on TV in the 70s.
Well, okay.
Can you just have the TV debut again? Was that the actual TV debut or the Formula One TV debut?
It's my debut on British television was one day before my Formula One debut at the British Grand Prix.
Right, so we can rule out Yuri Geller. Because he made Scotland miss a penalty in Euro 96 and talked about it on TV
Of course he did.
while he was flying above Wembley in a helicopter.
Fuck it.
You're forgetting about all the bending spoons that he did.
I don't think the spoon bending has a huge bearing on whether or not he is a total shunt.
Well, also Lee said ancient was a key word.
Yeah, that's what's throwing me a little.
Yeah,
Do we have to guess here?
I think
Are we that far in now?
That was number 6, wasn't it? Lee?
Yes, yeah. I need a clue. That's why I said don't all come at me with your guesses at once.
Oh man, I
Olympus.
have no idea.
Just coming out with anything Greek now.
Yeah.
Zeus.
That's ancient. That's Greek.
It is.
Yeah, the Kia Zeus. Entered for one race, didn't make the 107%. Team got knocked out. So slow they didn't even get mentioned on TV. Anyone got anything else? Anyone got anything?
No,
Anyone?
nothing at the
No.
moment.
How else can I help you? I've been trying to rack my brains at another way of helping you. The only thing I can say is that, as far as out of the box thinking, we're not just talking out of the box thinking here. We're talking out of the box, out of the country thinking.
So it's somebody who was born in Greece but probably raced under a license from a totally different country.
I'm not
Should
convinced we're
should
looking for a person.
I should probably not think of drivers.
Yeah, I think we're looking for a brand or a label
Or a person,
or...
but not a driver
Not
person.
a driver person. Interesting.
Man, but that ancient thing's throwing me. Are we was there ever a demigod that drove an F1?
Bernie
Like
Eccleston
Zeus.
did enter 2 Grand Prix in 1958.
And is ancient.
Yeah.
You are genuinely you are the closest so far.
Oh, boy.
Bernie Eccleston.
Is it I'm thinking now that it's like a sponsor named after something from Greek mythology. Like some kind of a sponsor or a manufacturer of some part. I was thinking of tire manufacturers, things like that, but not, Michelin, Firestone, none of those would be any connection to that. But some sponsorship, something, a product that is named after something.
I'm with
ancient
you.
Greek.
I think we're looking for a brand name, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's as far as I've got.
completely stuck on what?
Yeah, I think Olympus camera is about as good as I can offer.
Yeah. It's not bad.
That ticks all the boxes. Should we go for that one then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Olympic
we're gonna
camera.
have
Olympus.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I was unable to assist my drivers as they scored 0 points on my debut.
Unable to assist them.
Number 8.
Yeah.
I am thought to have been responsible for over 40,000 deaths.
Crikey.
Kane, oh.
A particularly unpopular brand of Greek cigarettes.
Number 9, I have no idea. I get the rest of the clues, but I don't actually get this one. I died in 2001 in Japan after refusing treatment.
What?
But I feel over the last couple of questions together, like some sort of group therapy session, that we've made progress. Unfortunately, I feel like that clue might have sent us back.
So, I would think that would mean like a sponsor that went out of business in 2001 or something, like filed for bankruptcy.
After refusing yeah.
So maybe
like
a Japanese,
loan or
maybe a Japanese brand tried to buy them out.
Right.
What was the one before,
Olympus
Lee?
is a camera, so
Lee,
Yeah.
what was the thing before?
Number
8.
7.
Number 8, please.
Number 8. I'm thought to have been responsible for over 40,000 deaths.
Olympus cameras aren't that badly made.
right.
To the best of my knowledge, they are not that brutal. No.
My mum used to have one, and that never exploded on her.
Oh, wait a minute. Wasn't when were cigarettes banned? Cigarette advertising banned? Was that 2001?
Yeah.
So maybe a cigarette manufacturer, like cigarette brand.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
That is a good shout.
What cigarette brands do sort of synonymous with Formula One? Can't imagine it being Marlboro because nothing Greek there. That's all American.
That's because they're still advertising in Formula One.
Yeah.
Not officially.
Yeah, right.
Golwar, Jitan,
Mild 7.
Mild 7 was a Japanese brand.
7 Camel.
555 Lucky Strikes
They were on the BARs
at the same time.
Yeah, Lucky Strike a
99.
lot older than 97.
Benson and Hedges.
No, I don't. Benson Hedges was on the Jordan in '96.
Yeah, it was.
What's this shit about the mascot,
wasn't it
though?
alcohol as well? Alcohol was banned as well in 2001?
Only in France.
Only in France, okay.
But yeah, what's the thing about like the mascot appearing on TV? How is that? How are we tying this? Are we thinking like a giant fucking like London Marathon style cigarette dancing up and down the pit lane? I think even in 1997 that might have been a bit.
Yeah, because I mean, cigarette advertising has been banned on TV since the 60s.
Responsible. The whole being responsible for 40,000 deaths thing. Is Neptune Greek god of the sea?
Neptune is Roman. The Greek one was Poseidon.
Poseidon.
And his adventure was responsible for a downside more than 40,000 people leaving cinemas.
Flood's not in the right house, but he's in the right town.
So we're going Greek gods.
So we're going
then.
with gods, right? What have we got? Apollo. That's Roman. Ignore me.
Would you like your 10th? Would you like your 10th question?
Yeah,
Your
bollocks.
10th,
Yeah,
sorry.
probably.
The team I was affiliated with completed their final season in Formula One in 1997.
So this was a short-lived venture.
We're back to MasterCard.
Was Midas ever associated with a team in Formula One? Midas is an auto parts, an American auto parts store.
Let me give you a spaffer before you go down this road, yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So that means no.
Do you know what? I nearly read the answer then instead of the spaffer.
And we probably still wouldn't notice if you did. We probably still wouldn't get it.
I was born approximately 3000 BC and killed a cyclops.
Oh.
Which one killed the Cyclops?
Hercules, right?
Perseus, wasn't it?
Rusty on my Greek mythology.
I didn't
There's
do
probably
that
there's
bit of
probably
Greek
a ton
mythology.
of like Greek mythology buffs that are screaming at their radio right now.
I am refusing to turn around and look at Discord just in case.
Yeah.
At this point, I'd take two answers. I would take a name or an object.
What?
Who killed the Cyclops? Oh man, I feel like
But I did
need to
not
know
choose
this.
the deputy.
Bob Marley. Oh. I got nothing. I'm out.
And we had the Spaffer too.
This is
embarrassing.
this is the older
Yeah.
part of
This
ancient
shows how
Greek. This is not
uncultured
my
we all are.
area.
Yeah, I think I'm out too.
I can't. I don't know.
No, me neither.
Just are we tapping out?
Yeah.
Well, you can thank this. You can thank this for the whole. I like the ones which is like a nut on a car on a joint. Today, I am the side pod of the 19. Sorry, what year is it?
97.
Of the 1997 Tyrrell, which had Xena Warrior Princess on the side of it.
Fucking
Oh
hell.
my
Gosh.
god.
Oh man.
I thought we'd plumbed the depths with Mario and Sonic.
No, I nearly said Tyrrell as well because they became TWR arrows, I think, after 97.
Ah.
Somebody said Hercules.
No, Tyrrell became BAR.
Tyrrell became BAR, of course it did. Sorry, yeah.
Footwork became TWR arrows.
Yeah.
Even if we had known it was Xena, we would have had no clue how that related to. And what was the deal about the they didn't score any points, so it wasn't useful?
They didn't score any points in Silverstone when it was on the side of the car.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Because the first
But,
episode was
I mean,
on TV
one could
the
argue
day
that the livery
before.
doesn't really help you unless it's red
No.
or papaya.
Ah,
That was somebody's just sent us a picture of the Tyrrell at the wrong race.
that was tough.
That was.
That was ridiculously hard. Thank you for sending that in. If you want to send a total shunt in, how would you go about doing it?
You can send me a private message on Instagram, or you can do the same thing on Twitter at a total shunt.
And if you want to get hold of the rest of us, we're all on Twitter. The show is at 3 Legs 4 Wheels, same on Facebook and Instagram as well. And individually we are.
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
And Matt, you are.
I'm on Twitch. Lightning McMufflin on Twitch.
That is cool. And of course, if you're old school, you can email us 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. Quick reminder on the latest Formula Lee challenge. It is a lap of Baku in the dry in the 2019 MP Motorsports F2 car. And we may have some good Formula Lee news coming up in the not too distant future. But I can't say anything just yet.
Keep your ears pinned back for that.
And now seen another picture of the car without Xena Warrior Princess on there. We'll have to do some more research on this. We will be back next week with... I ain't got a bloody clue.
Whatever the hell's going.
Yeah, whatever happens between now and then. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for listening. And massive thank you to Matt for joining us this week. It's been great having you on. And just want to say again, thanks for all your help that you've given me on iRacing so far.
Oh, my pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
If anyone's still listening on Discord on the live stream, we'll be jumping on the Discord chat in a couple of minutes. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.